All right. Well, welcome to the April. It is April? Is it April? What happened?
Yeah,
What
yeah,
is
it
going
is.
on? The April Lumpkin ARES meeting. Thank you all for coming. I know it's a beautiful spring day, and I would much rather be out there doing stuff than sitting here talking to you guys. No offense, because it's 75, low humidity, and clear sky. It's pretty amazing.
Yeah, I burned bamboo all day. I must have burned up about 40 bamboo poles today.
Really. Oh man. All right. So let's see. Get this thing shared up. If I can. What is going on? No. Wrong button. Stand by. Ah. All right. Again, welcome. Let's see. We'll do the usual announcements. I figure we'll do a month in review of these meetings since it's the beginning of the month. We'll talk about last month. We'll talk about the Georgia death race. Talk about my email I sent. I think we talked about this last month about, I'm only one person with a full-time job. We don't do so much. We'll talk about that later here. I
Yeah,
sent the email out. I think everyone got it. A couple replied. So we'll talk about Anderson power poles again, just to reinforce that. I think everyone here has sat through my Anderson power pole presentation like 17 times. So you're probably not going to get too much from it, but it's just a reinforcement. We're kind of going to shift. I'm starting to shift focus from digital, right? We're pushing digital. We're actually getting pretty good, right? If I challenge any one of you to send me a WinLink message, you can do it immediately, no problem, right? So now we need to move on to other things while still doing the digital stuff. So now we're going to kind of focus on deployment, like physical deployment, including like taking your gear somewhere. And power poles are a big, huge piece of that. So we'll do the usual closing. All right, announcements. Man, I'm tired of this slide. I did change it though. So we have the digital workshop on the 4th Tuesday at 7. You guys all come to that. That's fine. We got the local nets. We got the ARES net is on the 1st and 3rd Thursday. I don't think we need another repeater net. So I just changed the first Thursday to be HF as well. So we'll have an HF net on the 1st and the 3rd Thursday.
Wow.
That's okay with everyone. I think that's probably good. Look, there's David McCurley right there. So I think Smiley, did I have you penciled in for net control for the HF net this on the 3rd Thursday?
I think you do.
Okay. All right, I appreciate that immensely. So we need net control and alternate net control. So if I think you guys all know alternate control just takes roll call and general net for the notes for the net. Want to be alternate control? That'd be awesome. Hey David, how you doing, sir?
Hey there. Sorry, I'm getting settled in. Don't let me stop you.
No worries.
I could be the alternate.
Okay, so part of the script, Smiley, do you have that script?
I think I have. I've got the regular net script. I can change it around.
Yeah, that's what I use that one. I just don't talk about the repeater part.
Yeah, okay.
So part of that will be net control calling for alternate net control. So Rick, if you hear them, then say I'll be alternate net control and throw your call sign out there. And you can do that. That would be awesome as well.
Okay.
So we'll need net control and alternate net control for every net. And once we get in the swing of that, then every exercise will have net control and alternate net control as well. Probably at least one. So, this is another thing that we're building on, right? We're setting baselines and kind of building on top of it. So let's see. Other nets, we talked about these. Statewide phone net. I think it's at 6 o'clock now because it's I need to get rid of the during the winter months part. And then of course the WinLink nets that you guys all should be checking into. I need to find more text because text I took away from the slide included check ARES Connect for any details. It's like, well, we're only going to have that until the end of June or July, I think. So we got to find a different way to do that. We may just use the group IO calendar, and we can probably talk about that at some point, like how to do that. There's got to be a way to add like that calendar to your phone or something like that. I think I've done that. I want to say I have done that.
The Northeast District WinLink, what frequency is that?
So that is not really a frequency, right? So that is just send a WinLink message.
Oh,
to-
that's right. That's right.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
And you don't have to wait till 8. You can send it anytime.
Yeah, so for both the district and the statewide WinLink, or any WinLink net really, is all that I know of is the time is when net control will check for messages. So just get your message sometime before then. Usually these are both Sundays. Usually it's just like sometime Sunday. Like if you get back from church and you're sitting there at 3 o'clock or 2 o'clock, just send both messages. It's fine. It doesn't have to be at those times.
Use the check-in format.
So there is a check-in form, yeah, that you probably should
Yeah.
use. I really hate that thing. I don't even know the point of it. Because you can't reply to it. There's no place to put your name. I got all these messages, hey, check me in. Thanks, Aaron. I'm like, who are you? There's no name in here. Anyway. But check-in form, if you can't do check-in form, ICS 213 is fine. If you can't or won't do that, just type some stuff in the message body and say, hey, check me in. That's good enough.
The 2 WinLink messages, who are they directed to?
So that's supposed to be in ARES Connect, and part of the details that are missing here for the district net, it's Whiskey 4 November Echo Alpha W4 NEA. That's the Northeast District Club call. And who is the
Say that again slowly and phonetically.
Whiskey 4 November Echo Alpha.
Alpha?
Yeah.
Yep. Northeast ARES.
Okay. Got it.
State one, I can't remember. Is WX4 MAT? Can't remember. I don't check into that one because I'm running the other one. I think it's WX4 MAT, Mike Alpha Tango. To check that out.
W4,
Whiskey X-ray 4?
WX4.
No, that's not right. It's Kilo X-ray 4. Stand by. Hold on. You're gonna be like that. Let's just look it up. Maybe. Let's see. Nets and frequency. Yep. It's Kilo X-ray 4 Mike Alpha Tango.
These are on a web page, right? You can just go to the web page and do the format, right?
Like to send the message? What are you asking, Rick? I'm not sure what you're asking.
So the format for these WinLink nets is on a web page, right? And you go to the web page and you fill out the form and then you attach it to the WinLink.
Here we go. I'll show you real fast. Let me fire this thing up. Maybe.
I know I sent one a couple weeks ago and it came back and
Okay. So when you do a message, right? So there are basically 3 options to check into these nets. If you do a new message, you can just type some gibberish in here. Hey man, check me in, right? Check me into the net, right? You can just do that. That's fine.
oh, okay.
Or you can do an ICS 213 form, which then you do select template. And we've done this 100 times, right?
Mm-hmm.
under ICS USA, the 213, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's what I filled it. Yeah, I think that's what I did last
Okay,
time.
you've done that. And there's also, if you look under general, there's a WinLink check-in form. That's the third option, check-in. You can use any of those three ways.
That's what I use, that WinLink check-in form, because I sent a message to that guy and asked him where the check-in form was at, and he told me.
Okay,
Got it.
okay. All right. So those are the ways you can check into that net. So everyone should be able to do that, right? Send a message sometime. I mean, if no one's going to complain if you send it Saturday before you go to bed or something, right? Just this is just good weekly practice to send WinLink messages. It's you can use any method you want to. You can use Telnet. I usually just use Telnet because, face it, I've done this a billion times. I think I kind of know what I'm doing at this point. If you want to use Packet, you can send it via Packet. By the way, David, I saw you send a message or connect to the gateway here. Looks like you did send one message or receive one message.
Yeah, yeah. I tried to send the exercise. It was a few weeks back. I finally got my packet working, so I went back and did those exercises.
Okay, yeah.
I tried to use the template, so I'm interested to see if the template came through.
Oh, well, here.
I think you said that's extra credit or something if you use the template or something.
Oh,
So
okay.
I think I did that.
Well, here, let's check it real fast. While we're sitting here. Well, look, there's a message from you right there. Yeah,
You can also send stuff to your own email address as like a copy, and then you'll get it in your regular email if everything works.
Yeah, true.
It's a good way to test for yourself if you're trying to do stuff and you're not sure. Send it to yourself in email, and it'll show up on your regular email.
Yeah,
Thank you.
Yeah, it's a good idea. For those who haven't seen, here's the check-in form. All right, it's got the date, time, how you connected, who is there with you, right? The sender, and then some comments along with your location. So that's all that it is, though. It's just a check-in. I think there's a checkout form that we haven't gotten to yet.
So that's what it looks like, what I sent you?
Yeah.
Awesome. Okay, great. Yeah, that's really handy having those form templates in there.
Yeah, it makes it really consistent as well as convenient, right?
Yeah. Okay.
Cool. All right, back to it, I guess. So everyone should check into those nets, the WinLink nets at least, and since we're gonna have 2 HF nets in a month now, that's pretty good practice for HF stuff. Let's see. Oh, there's Steve.
Is this
All right,
coming
fill that-
Thursday, the first Thursday?
Was that?
Is this coming Thursday, the first Thursday?
Nope. That was last Thursday.
Oh,
So it'll be next week. Is that right?
Won't be, yeah, it will not be this Thursday, but the following Thursday we'll have the
Okay.
HF.
Yeah, I want to try to do that. I think I've got a good 80 meter set up here.
All right.
I think I was on Tuesday then, so maybe I just missed it by a week or a couple of days.
So Smiley's gonna be net control for Thursday. Smiley, if you could on the club net, on the repeater net, just find the frequency and let everyone know on the way out. Because it's 3975 plus or minus depending on conditions. So
Right.
it's usually pretty good, but I think with the time change, who knows how propagation is now. So, all right.
Well,
Other than that, what's that?
If Smiley's running a DM and I could chat on it while you were getting everybody on,
Yeah, absolutely. I mean,
I could do that,
have them
Smiley.
both
We could
going.
start chatting on a channel so we could hold it
Yeah,
for the.
that's a good idea. All right, there's a Ham Fest this month if you guys are brave. It's over in Calhoun. I went to this one many years ago and I haven't been back. I don't know what that says about the Ham Fest.
It's tiny.
It's tiny. It's absolutely tiny, but it's run by a bunch of the high-end ARES guys over the Northwest District. So, I mean, it's not an ARES event, but it's just the same guys. So I got the email today, said, please come to the Calhoun Ham Fest. And I'm like, yeah, I like you guys, but no. I'm not ready to go in public with a bunch of people inside a building yet. So
It's mainly a local ham fest.
it is, yeah. Yeah, it's basically a Northeast Georgia Ham Fest. It's not anything of.
Yeah, Tower Electronics will be there, and that's it.
Mm-hmm. So, there's usually one vendor, like a real vendor, and then a couple dozen tables inside, kind of like the second building at Dalton or the third building at Dalton.
Yeah,
And then there's some guys outside, I guess. I can't remember now.
yeah, just a few, just a very few.
But if you're bored, there you go.
A lot of old guys sitting around BSing.
It's like any other Ham Fest, Smiley.
Yeah, except there's a lot more older guys.
Guys who can't make the car trip over to on the other side of the mountains to get the Ham Fest in Atlanta, I guess. I don't know. Anyways, anybody else have any other announcements? Anything?
I was gonna try to help you out with some of that stuff you're asking for help for, but I really don't know where I would fit in the best. I'm pretty good with paperwork. If you need some help with paperwork and stuff.
We'll get there. I got a slide on that, Dave. We can talk about it when we get there.
Okay.
And hey, Steve, and hey, Donald. Thanks for joining us.
Hey,
Whoa. Okay. The fact I can see Donald and hear Donald is a miracle because every time we get on Zoom. Which usually what you see
can
is
you hear me now?
Oh man. I gotta find myself, make sure I'm back in frame. Anyway. Anybody got any other announcements? What are you guys doing over in White County, Donald? If you guys don't know, Donald there is the AEC for White County. And I'm sure
We are
going on.
we're continuing our normal training cycle with nets on the 2nd and 4th Wednesdays of the month.
Okay.
And I'm standing by, or I should say sitting by right now, for any contingency, weather or otherwise.
Okay. You guys, they usually meet on the 146-910 repeater over in Cleveland. Smiley has absolutely no business even trying to get to that repeater.
Who?
I think we got one guy lives over at LJ.
Oh, okay.
On occasions, I have heard that thing, but I couldn't get back to it.
Okay. I think everyone else here either regularly can get to it or can easily get to it. So
Which repeater's that?
that's a 146-910.
White Mountain.
It's on Long Mountain.
910.
Long Mountain.
What's that offset? Is it positive or negative?
Standard, whatever. I think it's
Standard is it? Unlike the Lumpkin can repeaters, which are all non-standard. Right?
yeah, it's let me check here.
Your radio will probably be smarter than us and go ahead and.
Oh,
set
I
that.
have that programmed in as Cleveland.
Yep, there you go.
All right. Yeah, I can hit that repeater, no problem.
Yeah. That's on the 2nd and 4th Wednesdays. Donald's sitting very still. I didn't know if he froze or he just sitting still for effect.
Yeah, it's getting rid of all my junk here.
Okay.
What, all these windows I have open. Where am I? Oh yeah, here I am. Minus 600.
It's minus, okay.
Yeah, where are you? There you are.
with a
BL 100,
100.
So that's the-
CTCSS 100.
So that's the White County ARES
Well, it's
net on Wednesday night.
yeah, the second.
Second
Wednesday.
and fourth, yeah.
Okay.
So tomorrow? No, day after. Because the month started on Thursday this month, right?
Oh, let me check.
I can't count that high. I think it's next week.
The 14th should be the next one,
Yeah.
and it should begin at midnight Zulu, which would actually be Thursday, but 8 p.m. local.
Let's not confuse it. Let's just use local. All right. Any other announcements then? Let's keep this thing going. All right. Moving on then. All right. Let's talk about the month in review. This is a new thing I might start doing if you guys are find this interesting. We'll talk about the previous month. In this case, March is pretty good. We had 130.4 dedicated hours in March. The vast majority of that was the death race because a lot of prep time, a lot of travel time. We were there for a long time, a lot of breakdown time, a lot of travel time back home. So I think we'll talk about the death race here in a minute, but Renee, me, Smiley, David, and then Josh, Big Josh, you guys have seen him. I can't remember his call sign. We all went out there and spent quite a number of hours out there doing radio for the Georgia Death Race. It was a fun one. We'll talk about it here in a second, though. But we had 130.4 hours, which is pretty good, actually. We're usually averaging about 60 something hours on a normal month. So this was just it's a one-off month. It's kind of like September. You know, September will have 200 or more hours because the 6 gap will be in there, right? So
So does that put us on pace for what we need to be doing for hours?
yeah, it's an average month is about 60 or 70, I think. If we don't have it, if we just have a normal exercise and there's nothing special going on. So I mean, we're well above because it was a special event this month. So we're in
Okay.
good standing. I think with that number, that will put us probably in the top 10 counties in the state, really, to tell the truth.
That's what we want.
Well, we like to. Some of them we can't compete with. Like, let's talk about like Gwinnett and Fulton counties. I mean, they're going to have 130 hours in a week, you know. So, but anyway, I mean, for our size, we're doing really well, I think.
Okay.
So our flash exercises, we've had a couple months of a couple of them now, so we'll go through. We did a WinLink message count one where I sent a message to everyone. Well, I mean, just to cover it, just make sure everyone understands. Every once in a while, I'll send out a email to the group with a little flash exercise, just a real simple task, and just see how fast and how accurately you can operate by yourself, right? So the first one we did, this is actually back in February, we did a WinLink message count. It's like, tell me how many WinLink messages that you sent in the last, what did I say, 30 days, last month or something like that? Right, and send it to a certain address. So I don't think anyone had a problem with that. I think everyone just like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, because we don't send too many. That was pretty easy. There was a little twist to that, and I kind of don't want to cover right now. We'll talk about it later. There's a way in WinLink to say, generate me a report for the last 30 days with all my messages. So it's a real, it's a power move for that task. But everyone did fine with that. So we had a check into another ARES net. Check into, what is that? Who types this stuff? Who all could check into another ARES net? I think Rick probably checked, Rick and Russ and Donald.
I did.
I
I sent a
did.
form.
I forget which one I checked into. I think I did one.
Well, I mean, all you gotta do is check into the White County ARES net there, Rick.
Well, yeah, I did.
You did, David? Which one did you check into?
I checked into Hall County ARES.
There you go.
And I sent the form to you, Winley.
Okay, yeah. I mean, no offense, don't be offended if I don't respond.
Oh, no, no problem. I didn't even think about it.
I
That's
did
good.
I did the HF net on Sunday also.
Okay, that's good enough. So yeah, so we're all able to contact other ARES groups. The whole point of that little flash exercise was, try to reach out to someone other than just us. Don't stick around just in our group, right? We need to actually be familiar with call signs and people in neighboring counties, just in case something happens, right?
That's a great idea.
Yeah. Well, I mean, if an emergency happens, say there's a tornado rips through Lumpkin County, how many we have on the call tonight? We got 7. I can't count. That's
8.
not enough. We're gonna need some help from someone. And I'll call Donald and say, hey man, you guys gotta send some people over. And Donald will say, we had a meeting.
I'm busy.
And you didn't send an MOU over, Aaron, to sign. And I'll be like, Donald, come on, man.
Hey. What's going on here?
We're a paperwork guy. That's all I'm saying. But yeah, I mean, we will definitely need help from other organizations if something really bad happens. So it's good to be familiar with all of us, all of our neighbors. All right. And then I had a Find My Gateway. I turned up a WinLink gateway and challenged everyone to find it. And then Paul kind of spoiled it a little bit by putting the frequency out there. Obviously David could find it. Was it everyone able to find the thing on the map? I think, was it Russ? Did you have an issue with that, finding it on the map?
It was on the pull down menu.
Finding, what was that?
Finding the gateway?
No, I didn't have any trouble with that, but I had trouble hitting it.
Okay, that's weird.
It was in the pull down menu on WinLink.
Yeah, I know.
So I mean, I didn't have to go to the map,
Or I either had my settings wrong or something.
but I
'cause,
couldn't hear you.
Hey, Aaron,
Yeah.
I was noticing that your gateway on the map was down. It wasn't where I was expecting. I thought it was on Crown Mountain, but it looked like it was down. It was showing on the map like it was down in the valley over there,
Yeah.
like almost in the creek bottom.
Yeah, so none of those are accurate. They're never put on the map to a high degree of accuracy. I think it does 2 decimal places of that long. So it kind of moves around in a grid, or it might just
Okay.
move, it might
So-
be the center of the grid maybe. But
So it's up on the it's up on Crown Mountain by that
Oh,
water
no.
tower.
No, it's at my house. It's sitting right there.
Oh, I got you. Okay. Well, it was way off. I mean, it's showing it down by down near Yahoo Creek Grill area,
Oh, yeah.
down in there. Down the hill further.
Yeah, I set it up the kayak in place at Shasta. No, those maps are not completely accurate. They'll tell you the general area where it's at. I think now to think about it, I think it's the grid square. They'll like put it in somewhere in the middle of the grid square.
I see. Okay, that explains it.
Yeah. All right. Any question on those flash exercises? Do you guys enjoy those?
Yeah, I do. If I can get my my radio to work, I enjoy them.
Well, that's kind of the
I have
point of it, right? Get
I have
in
a question
the
about
habit
the
of-
spotter. Okay.
What
I have a
now?
question about the spotter training. Who do we send that certificate to?
Whomever you're getting to sign your task book there, Rick.
What?
Who do we send the certificate to?
Yeah,
Let's see, it should be
I
in your,
got the certificate I made now, and
yeah. Yeah, just keep it in your ARES task book.
oh, okay.
And then whoever signs off on that, because that's an optional, I think, for a level 2. Might be is it required for level 3?
No, not required.
Anyway, I haven't looked
Okay.
at the task book in so long. But yeah, just keep it in your folder with everything.
On the wall, so, yeah.
Yeah, we'll eventually get to a point where we can actually sign off on task books at some point. So,
Okay.
but yeah, I set the spotter training too. I think this is the second time this year and like the 5th time overall. It's the same stuff over and over again. Just, different personal touches depending on the instructor. But was anyone able to actually attend that? Other than
Yeah,
Yeah, I
I
did.
did.
me? Okay.
I actually enjoyed it. I thought the guy did a great job.
He did. Actually, it wasn't his fault that I kind of gave it an average rating in my own head because I was doing other stuff.
I
Like
remember the
sleep.
first time I took it, I thought it was very boring. And it was, yeah,
Oh, the
but
first
that was 4 or 5 years ago.
I think you learn something just about every time you go to one.
Oh yeah, absolutely. It's a lot of information. There's no way you can learn it all in one sitting. So
I thought this one was pretty good.
yeah.
I've been to 3, this makes the 3rd one I think I've been to.
See, the first one we went to was at Dalton. There's a training room in that second building at Dalton. It is a tiny room with 100 people crammed into it. And the guy from Weather Service was like in his 3rd month with, employed. And so all his slides were the stock images from the plains of Kansas. Like, look at this thunderhead. You can identify it with this. It's like, dude, you're 104 miles away from that. I can't see that here. So they've gotten a lot better at that over the years. So if it comes up
Yeah.
again, I'll send it out to everyone, and hopefully others can attend. It's worth just at least once a year if you can find it, especially now that everything's virtual. It's really easy to find one. So if I hear about one, I'll let everyone know. All right, and then of course we did the Georgia death race, which we'll talk about here in a moment. So that was most of our 130 hours. Actually, I just realized that those flash exercises, we don't get any hours counted for that, do we? Need to fix that. But anyway. All right. Anything else I missed from last month? Anyone? All right, cool. All right, so let's recap the death race. So that was on the 27th, way back at Bull Mountain parking lot. Luckily, it had rained. The road was not in great condition, but very passable, luckily. So we had 5 operators, like I said earlier, is me and Renee, Smiley, David, and then Big Josh, who helps us with 6 Gap as a SAG driver. We set up there way too early as usual. We probably should have come like 2 hours later. We pulled in the parking lot, and the only person there was Smiley by himself in this big parking lot. So, like, Smiley, you've been here since last night? What's going on here? But we set up a little tent, and we set up a WinLink station. We were able to easily get back to the gateway here at my house. So that made it real easy for us. So I think we had 165 runners made it to our station. At one point we had 199 on the course, so probably 30 or 40, maybe 50 dropped out. You got to realize this is a 70 some odd mile foot race through the mountains of North Georgia. It is not an easy feat whatsoever. But lots of people did it. It's every year I go to this thing, I'm like, well, these guys are amazing.
I read someplace where that area of the Appalachian Trail is the toughest part of the whole trail.
Yeah. I think part of this race is they put it in the rough parts on purpose because it's actually a qualifier for a national race, like an invitational type race in the West. So it's intentionally not easy. But these guys every year, I mean, we saw it last year, we saw it year before, we saw it every year, is these we're at like mile 50 something at this point, and they're running in. Hey guys, how you doing? Thanks for supporting us. Yay! I'm like, dude, come on. Why aren't you sweating? You should be sweating at this point, but they're not. But anyway, we sent a bunch of messages. There were 40 connections and 83 total messages sent in that 24 hours. So we were using the gateway here at the house, KK4UHS10, and so was the rest station 7 or 8 station 7, which was right previous to us. They used it a few times as well. So it's a good asset to have. I guess we need to figure out a permanent solution of it in my basement. I got to put an antenna up for it or something. I don't know. Anyway, anything, Smiley, Dave, you want to add anything to that? Did you have a good time?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah, I had a great time.
A lot of fun.
Yeah,
I was very impressed with those people being able to do that, and I enjoyed everyone's company and learned a lot about the WinLink.
yeah,
So
we made sure to share the love for WinLink. So I did a few of those. Luckily, it was really easy format this year. We're just the WinLink messages were all just a bib number and time in. That's all we need to record this time. So it's able to easily just type it by hand. So we're able to sit down, and as everyone is paper and pen checking people in, we could actually transpose that to WinLink messages and send that to the whole group. Now, who do we send that to? We sent it to a bunch of people. Net Control was actually at Amicalola, I think, and they were the main recipient, but we sent it to basically every rest stop as well, so they could track as we go along. So everyone had all the updated information. So, but during the course of the day, we sent probably 60 of those. No, not 60. We sent several of those messages ourselves, and we were able to. David was actually able to get a chance or two sitting at the console typing in and sending the message. And so was Josh. I think Smiley was like, "Nah, I'm comfortable." It's fine. It's fine.
well, it was such a simple thing that I did, but it really it had a lot of weight to me because I was able to see how we do all these exercises with the WinLink, but be able to actually see it being applied, in a real situation. That was very educational.
Yeah, that's a valid point. The difference between you're sending me a message and me responding is different than sending it to a dozen other stations and everyone responding, or you're getting updates from a dozen other stations, be able to see how that comes in.
Mhm.
And we weren't Net Control, but you could see what Net Control was seeing as all these messages were coming in. So someone was having to go through all those messages and make make sense of it all. So it's good to see a real large scale exercise with a bunch of messages. So, all right, anything on the death race before we move on and focus on 6 Gap in September? That's the next big one, I guess. All righty. So I sent an email. When did I send that? Yesterday.
Yeah.
About getting a little help here. We talked about it a little bit last month, and I said I would send an email, and I never got around to it until yesterday. We need some help, right? So we need some help in various forms to keep the momentum of this ARES group going, right? I can't do it all. That's the problem, right? So especially like exercises. So we like to do a monthly exercise, whether that just be send some WinLink messages on a Saturday morning or whatever we need to do. It's not difficult. It just takes a lot of time. You just got to figure out what you want to do. If you want to be real strict about the way you set up your exercises, then what you have to do is set it up in a way that you have goals that are measurable and quantifiable, right? So that you can actually, having an exercise is fine. It's good for repetition, we need to be able to measure progress and measure responsiveness and measure whatever we need to measure, right? So that's the biggest part of these exercises is documenting it, making sure we have some goals for it, measuring, making the measurements for those goals and things like that. So those exercises take a lot of time, even though there may be 2 or 3 hours of execution on a weekend. You know, it may be 7 or 8 hours of prep time to get that going. So that's a real big hitter, and it would be great if someone could, not on a permanent basis, but just if, you know, maybe take a month and we could all work together to get all the documentation and all and everything up and running, but just to do an exercise, someone other than me lead it, I guess is what I'm saying. Just to save me some time, I'm afraid. But still be able to actually have those monthly exercises. So if you're interested in that, it's really good to know, to see how the group works together. What really does work with the group, if you know what I mean. Like, you know, what does the group like to do? What will they participate in? You know, measuring the goals helps us figure out where we need more help, right? Need more practice. So it's interesting to see all that as well. So
Any exercise is going to involve a WinLink message. Is that pretty much
it should,
given?
yeah, it should. WinLink should be
Okay,
at least
so
a
who
piece.
should that go to? Should it go to you? Or should it go to us? If we set up the exercise, should they come to me if I set it up, or?
So it's whoever we decide is net control for it, right? So because you don't have to set up yourself, right? If you're doing the exercise, you can say, "Hey, Russ, you're net control," right? And we can all send messages to him. I mean, it's at your
Okay, so
discretion, I guess.
So there's no set way. You can
No,
do it any, okay.
no. And in real emergencies, you may or may not have a call sign to send it to. Someone may call you on the repeater and say, no, that person's offline. You need to send it over to this station now. So it's a way to practice those real world scenarios. So
Sorry, the dog was raising hell outside.
and I guess in a perfect world, you can change it in the middle of the exercise too, just to see what happens. Right, that's a good measurable goal right there. Are you paying attention? Anyway.
You know, me and John were talking about at the death race, picking a day, and me and him were just going to do this on our own, go set up our field stations.
Yeah.
And actually try to send some messages. I don't know if that's something we could make and turn into like an exercise and have people come try that, set it up with us, or.
Absolutely. We could do like a field day type thing like you're talking about, or everyone could independently go set up their own field station somewhere. I try when I put the exercise together to have the option of you can do this from your house, or you can deploy somewhere safe on your own if you need to. So
well, the key thing that I wanted to see was I wanted to set mine up along with maybe having someone else's set up and be in the same location, you know, maybe 50 feet apart or something, so we could compare notes. And if you have trouble, you know, I was wanting someone else to kind of check out what I've got and give me tips or whatever too. So I don't know if doing it everyone's separate, like locations would do that, but that's kind of what we were shooting for, is that we were going to set our own stations up together and then try to make sure everything's working basically.
Or we could meet halfway and have like 2 or 3 different locations to set up 2 or 3 different stations at each. You know, so we're all not at the same spot, but there's still support for each other at the one location. I mean, and these are great ideas for exercises, right? And a perfect, you know, before the end times, we'd already had this set up and we'd all meet, you know, somewhere at Yahula Creek Park or something like that. That's a terrible place.
Yeah,
you know,
that's what I'm thinking.
Somewhere, you know, and all get together and make sure this works in the field. Like bring your go box, right? If
Yeah.
I were to call you on the phone and say, David, we need to deploy now, what would you bring with you? Does it work? Right? That's a
Right.
great way to make sure that that works.
And how long will it take you to get it together?
Yeah,
Right.
exactly.
So that, if we did an exercise like that, we could count those hours too, couldn't we?
Oh, absolutely. All this will,
Okay.
everything we do will count hours towards, or count toward our hour total. Yeah. But like I was saying earlier, that's the paperwork part, right? That's the killer, right? the time consumer. We all have fun during the exercise, I think, but we it's government, right? You gotta submit some paperwork. So, if you want to do something like that, Dave, and you want to lead something like that, wink, wink.
Yeah, I think I could do that. I just, when you say it's a lot of paperwork, I don't have an idea what the scope is on that. You talking hundreds of pages?
Oh no.
Um,
No, I'd have told this job to go jump in a lake if it was that. I mean,
Are you talking forms or free form stuff?
A little of both, right? So, like, we have an incident action plan, IAP, which is a general document. All right, that's not really a form because it's pretty free form, like you said. It can be anything from here's an email with 2 sentences, that can be your IAP, or it can be a fully scoped out and flushed out 201 that's multiple pages. I don't know. Did you see the 201 for the death race? Did you guys?
yeah, yeah, I think I'm pretty much capable of producing a document like that. I
Yeah.
think.
See, that's way overkill because we do this every year. It doesn't really change too much. So all the details are in there. It doesn't need to be that much, but it needs to be better than our usual. My email I send to everyone counts as the IAP. There are other
Right.
things too, like we need a 205 for frequencies. That really doesn't change too much. You just need to change the date on the form. If there's a safety briefing needs to happen, like everything we do in person right now should all have a safety briefing just to make sure we look everyone in the eye and say, stay away from people, wear your mask, right? That type thing. Right.
Yeah.
But if it's in the middle of the summer in South Georgia, guess what? We're all going to get another safety briefing that says, you guys aren't used to this heat. Be careful.
Yeah.
So
Well, I think it'd be best if we kind of got some ideas on a date that would be acceptable to everyone before I started trying to organize something like that.
sure.
And then if once I got the idea about the time frame, then I could start trying to pull that, maybe make it in a couple of months or something, or a month.
Yeah. I was gonna ask when you're thinking. Are you thinking like May or something like that?
Yeah, I'd say maybe put it a month out. That'll give everybody time, or give me time to do my first set of paperwork for it, learn how to do that.
Okay, well, guess what you just volunteered to do then? You just volunteered to run this thing at least for
Yeah,
May.
I'll volunteer to set that up if you want to tell me what date.
Well, no, you're the leader. You find a date.
You set it up. Yeah, you're the leader.
Okay, well, I can pick a date.
So just put it on the group IO, right? Send a message, say we want to have this exercise. Describe what you want to do and say, how about this date? What do you guys think? And probably most people would be like, that's fine. So
Okay. So yeah, putting something on the group IO, that would be something to learn how to do for me.
okay.
I'm not sure I know how to do that.
Okay, well, you and I can get together like this week or next week, maybe, David, and we can go over all
Okay.
that, as well as all the forms we need to fill out for each one and how
Yeah. Well, that sounds great.
Very good. All right, so what kind of exercise do you guys want to do in April this month then?
Treadmill.
Treadmill. I got a road machine right there.
Well, maybe a wind link exercise of some sort.
Yeah, I'm thinking just keep a little low key this month, since in May we'll have obviously a big one. In June is field day. We'll probably want to participate in that in some manner as well. So maybe it's just another windling from your house, and I'll just send some tasks over the course of the exercise again.
Yeah,
the
I
way,
don't think we could do too many of those really. The more practice, the better on those. So
Okay. Well, I didn't want that to get boring. We've done a few of those in the past couple months. Well, I'll try to keep the tasks interesting. It's I will give you a warning. It's warm now. It won't make you go outside and do something like change the feed line of your antenna. The task is someone ran over your antenna feed line with a lawnmower. Now you need to swap it out. But anyway, we'll figure it out. So I'll get those details pushed out to everyone for April, and then Dave, you and I will get together. We'll get May going. So that would be
okay.
that'll be awesome. And that's good enough for now. If someone else has any ideas for exercises, we'll talk about it in the future. But any help with these would be great. Be a real weight off of me, I guess. This slide is totally for my own benefit. Anyway, the flash exercises too. Someone had a question about flash exercises as well. Was that you as well, David? So someone asked in the emails about the flash exercises. You guys have any ideas for those? Did I spell exercises wrong again? No, that's fine. If you guys have any ideas for that, let me know. Just something real simple, like takes 5 minutes. Just to keep us on our toes. Make sure we're paying attention. Make sure we don't have rust all over all of our skills. So just let me know. So we got nets. Oh, someone have something?
I think it's just feedback.
Yeah. Nets. Thanks to Jim for running last week's net, and thanks to Smiley for next week's net. Like we said earlier, we're going to go to nothing but HF for those 2 nets. So on the first and third, we'll do HF net. If you want to run net control, let me know, or let someone know. Alternate net control for those nets as well. So that would be good. Any programs you have, program ideas or program thoughts or programs that you can give for these meetings, the monthly meetings would be awesome too. I just stuck with Smiley and the next month. He showed up with Edwards with a nice custom box that he made for his radios and speakers and all that stuff. So he's going to show that off to us next month. If you can help out with that, that would be great as well. And then this is the big one, is the AEC. We really need an AEC. That's the Assistant Emergency Coordinator for the county. This is basically, well, obviously assist with the group with stuff, but the big deal would be if a disaster hits and it hits my house, who's gonna take over and lead the group and lead the deployments? That would fall on the AEC now. That sounds like a huge task. It really isn't, because I think most of us understand how all this works and how it should work and how it will work already. So it's just a matter of executing and answering questions, and then interacting with the EMA at the EOC. So
Developed an echo. Where's that coming from?
I don't know.
Yours is too.
Mine is echoing?
Yep.
If everyone would mute their mic except for the one person talking, we could get rid of this.
Yeah. See what's going. All right. I muted Russ and it disappeared, so I'm gonna blame him for it. All right. So if you're interested in the AEC position, this is a real like ARES position then just let me know, just to help. I don't expect too much from this right now. We got to mature a bit before we can really get an AEC, unless we can sucker Donald into doing AEC for both counties while he's not paying attention. Anyway, any help that you have will that you can provide will be a benefit for the group and me, and I appreciate it. So. Anyway, actually, I don't have a slide for it, but I got an email from Lorraine, who is our EMA director. And she apologized for not being in touch with us, but she had let's see, she had a pretty rough month of March, I believe it was March. Her father-in-law passed away and her own father had a stroke on the same day. So I cannot imagine that. So she has been out of the office and out of touch for a while. She said she'll be back sometime in April. I don't know when. I'm not going to rush to the front of the line. I'm gonna let her, do what she needs to do, and then we can get some attention from her. But she sends her thanks to the whole group, and that she thinks we're doing a fantastic job, and to make sure that you guys are aware that they know what we're doing and they see what we're doing and like the way we're doing it. So that's a good thing from her, right? She also says that the antenna was installed on the roof for the station at the EOC. I haven't seen it. I've looked for it. I don't know what they're talking about, so we'll have to figure out the details of that. But if it's ready, if it's installed, that means that there's a bunch of coax in the ceiling above the meeting room in the EOC. So we can actually drop that down and actually set up a station and try that out at some point. So I'll send her an email. I gotta send her our hours for the month of March anyway, and I'll add that in there and ask her if she's in the office and if she has checked on the antenna. And,
What kind of radios are they gonna set up in there? Are they gonna give us a budget and you gotta go buy what you need, or are they just buying it?
I've got a pile of radios of my own. I've got radios. Bob ZST has a pile of radios to give over to the ARES group for the EOC. So we've got it covered. I've got power supplies. I've got everything but putting something on the roof of the government building is basically what we could do. So she actually had a couple radios already over there. One was a D-Star radio, actually, that we actually played around with a little bit one time we were over there.
Well, they'll probably have multiple radios for different formats, right? Like D-Star and
Yeah.
HF and
Yeah. Mm.
well, that could be once that's all set up, that could be an exercise is learning how to, everybody's going to need to know how to operate those particular radios, like download the book for that radio or something.
Well, that opens up a lot of doors for us too, is if we run our exercises from there, then that's a lot of visibility for us. If we do things like, if you guys remember the first, when was that exercise that we did? Was it last June where we all met and deployed out to the siren locations? Whenever that was, she counted that one as a real exercise for the county because she has to have a certain number of hours every month, to keep her, probably her federal funding, right? So we were able to contribute to that for her as well. So like you're saying, David, we'll have multiple stations in the EOC. So not only will we be able to be visible, but if there's a real emergency, we'll already have practice on that rig, on those rigs, right?
Yeah, that's great.
And we won't be, flopping around trying to read through the manual how to, turn an offset on this radio.
That's awesome. I thought they already had a radio station set up there. I didn't know.
Yeah, so the whole story that we've been talking about for about a year and I guess a year and 3 months now is there is a room in the EOC that's going to be the radio room. It will be for us. It'll be right off the meeting room. Probably right outside just so they can lock the door, keep us out if they need to, because things will happen that we don't need to be involved in. during
Right.
emergency.
Well, sorry not to be too many questions, but you said that they had put us something on the roof. Did they just put like a mast up for us to put antennas on, or what kind of antennas did they put up, or what's going on with that?
So we asked because many years ago, I think the club put up a tower on, not tower, an antenna on their tower, and it's still there. Russ and I went out there and looked at it, and it was a. You remember what model that was, Russ? That was like an X700 or something like that. It was a big antenna.
Yeah.
The issue is no one knew where the coax went, and it cost a lot of money, like thousands and thousands of dollars for someone to come and climb that tower and trace it all out. Because it's where the 911 center sits, right? You can't just climb that tower. You have to have so much insurance and training and certification and stuff like that. So it's really expensive. So the compromise was, instead of the county paying thousands and thousands of dollars for this one antenna, we sent her the specifications. I think we said a Diamond X510, which is a pretty big antenna. LMR 400 coax with the right connectors, stuff like that. So we sent her the spec, and that got approved and paid for. So that's supposedly what got put up there.
So that's an antenna that covers pretty much all the different bands we'd need.
So that's a UHF VHF antenna to start with.
I see.
We'd have to probably get a little more comfortable, put a proper HF antenna up there. But I mean,
Yeah, that's kind of what I was getting at. Do we have, what radios? That's going to determine what radios we can put in, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, these are things we got to figure out.
Okay.
She's not a ham, is she?
She is a ham.
Oh, is she?
Yeah,
I didn't realize that.
Yeah, she monitors our exercises when we're on the 443-100. She lives on the other side of Blood Mountain, so she listens in. She listened in on the death race actually with us. So like for 6-gap last year, we brought her a little the FT4X little Yaesu HT with all the frequencies already programmed in, and she was actually talking to Renee for 6-gap on that thing. So she does talk on it, so she's able to talk.
That's good to hear.
Was that?
So that's good to hear. I had no idea that she was even a ham.
Yeah, she is. Yeah.
The reason they might have a D-Star radio too is so that they can get on 30 Bravo with the rest of the state.
Yep, exactly. Hopefully it shouldn't be too much of a problem to get over to the Cleveland D-Star repeater, and they probably can get there. We can probably rig it up so she can actually, well, that we can actually get to the Stony Mountain one as well. So we'll figure that out when we get there. But back to it, the grand plan is to have a room with at least 2 stations in it. That room needs to be vacated. The people who have their stuff in that room are waiting on the old library to be rebuilt, which is still under construction. So it'll probably be October, November before that room is emptied. But in the meantime, if the antenna and coax is up, we can actually just drop the coax down onto the main meeting room table, set up a station there and operate from there. That was actually her idea. So that's definitely an invitation to do that. So we're going to move forward with putting a station in the EOC. It may be, shoved in the corner and put the coax back up in the ceiling tiles when we're done for now, but eventually we'll have a room. So that's good.
And a solution for the HF for the time being could be to relay on UHF or VHF to somebody's base station. There's some people in your organization with some really good stuff at home.
Yes, sir. And we talked before. I think we had a couple months ago. We talked about a little come to Jesus, right? Which, are you going to be able to deploy, and do you want to deploy? And you don't need to be the guy that sits in the fire truck running down the road with your radio, right? You can be, like Paul's saying, you can be at home monitoring a repeater or simplex frequency, and then provide relay services from there. So there's plenty of people that will want to do that. So. All right. Anything else about the EOC or whatever? All right. So I want to talk about power poles real fast. I had a thing I was going to show you some stuff, but it is 8:09 already. So we're gonna skip through this pretty quickly. Is everyone familiar with Anderson power poles?
Yep.
I think everyone likes power poles here, if I remember correctly. Oh, what you got there, Paul? Oh, yeah, I got a whole pile of stuff over there. You just pulling more power pole stuff out, Paul? Anyway. I think you're talking on mute, Paul. I can't hear you. Ah.
I got a digital voltmeter that plug a little tiny, put it up there. Yeah. It doesn't like it.
Yeah, there
It
you
has
go.
a little digital voltmeter and power pole connectors on it. So I can plug it into my power supply or my jump starter that I use.
Yeah.
And, but I have power poles on all my stuff. So
Yeah, I've got power poles everywhere. If a lot of times if I get a new radio, I will just snip off the power connectors and put power poles on them directly. Because it is the standard 12-volt connector for ARES and RACES if you really care. Why do we choose power poles? They have some technical advantages. I'm sure there are technical disadvantages too, but the idea is ARES said use power poles so that you can take your rig to any ARES anything and have power, right?
and they're bisexual.
They are. We'll call it genderless and polarized. You see the I was looking around today. I didn't realize the first patent for power poles was in 1958. I didn't expect that at all. But yeah, 1958. But
I use them for speakers too.
oh,
Yep,
do you?
me too.
Yeah.
Does the
I seen
speaker does the speaker work on 12 volts?
it.
It doesn't matter. It'll
The connector.
yeah, the connector is the connector. It just puts whatever current and frequency or whatever signal through it, just like any wire.
Yeah, so I saw one thing. What I have had a G5RV break, and I went and bought a new one HRO, and the guy there was telling me that this is what you need to do is you basically cut your old G5RV as like a 10-meter dipole. All right, and you tune it up, and then you put a power pole connector on the end, and then you add extensions to it for 20 meters, and put another power pole connector, and then you add extensions to it for 40 meters. So it can be
That's
used.
an awesome idea.
I know. It's like that's pretty good. It's pretty good. I think Rick, did we try to put that on your van-based antenna? Did we try to put power poles on that? Oh, you're muted too.
You muted him and he doesn't know it.
Yeah. Yeah, I have power poles on everything and my van is completely outfitted in power poles.
Yeah.
I bought a generator and I'm putting power poles on the outlet of it too, because
There
it's
you go.
got a 10 volt out or 12 volt output and they work fine. The only thing I caution everybody on is beware of buying cheap ones, because there are some cheap ones out there that don't stay together well when there's a little bit of tug on them. So just be aware. And usually they look, if you buy them red and they look orange, that's not a good power pole.
See these?
Yeah.
These are not real.
Yeah, I recommend buying them from just straight from PowerWorks and stay off Amazon for that.
Yeah, PowerWorks, the stuff they have at HRO is all real stuff. So
Watch buying it from Amazon though. You'll get shitty ones.
Yeah.
Just pay a couple of extra bucks and you'll be fine, you know. I
Right.
made the mistake just like probably everybody else has, and I got them. I said, "What?"
Is it who's the guy at all the ham fest? Is it not, oh man. Can't remember. He's the guy who has like bulk antenna line. Wireman, thank you. He has real power poles too that he sells. So they're pretty comparable price too to what you get anywhere else. Anyway, so the connectors we normally have that we're all familiar with, you know, that usually comes in a 15, 30, and 45 amp version. But you can get bigger Anderson power poles that go up to 380 amps, right? So like the quick connectors, quick disconnects, batteries on your UPSs are all power poles. I've heard of electric forklifts that run on power poles.
I've seen them on golf carts and stuff too.
Oh
Yep.
yeah, just a little more amperage on those than we're used to. But they're genderless and polarized, or bisexual, as Paul said. So you have, you know, one end and the other end can just, you know, plug into each other with no problem, right? We all know that part. Look at that. These things are so cheap, they don't even plug into each other. That's terrible. I'm throwing these in the trash. Why do I keep these? Anyway, they're pretty easy to assemble, and they come with some radio, come on some radios. I stole these images today. These are the ones that we have, the 15, 30, 50, and 45. You see how big those are? Look at this 350 over here. That's a monster.
Wow.
I'm probably going to wind up putting a set of that on my truck for my winch, because I have a winch that goes in the 2-inch receiver in the back. But I need to run power to it. I'm probably going to put that on there, but yeah, I think it's a little overkill for my radio sitting on my desk. And of course, with the 15, 30, and 45, it's all the same connector, right? But it's a different contact, right? It's a different size. You see the different size of contact here. It's effectively the gauge of the wire. So 16, 12, and 10 is the guide here. Anyone ever try to put a 20 gauge in a 15 amp connector? It crimps fine, but good luck pushing it into the connector.
Well, another thing too, when you're dealing with a 20 gauge and 18 gauge, it's much better to tin them first before you squish them.
Yeah, I have many times crimped 20 gauge and it just goes zoop
right out.
Like, well, that's useless. Where's my 16 gauge wire? Yeah, so
I just use 30 amp for everything.
I use 10 gauge for everything if I can. I just use that big 45 amp one. So
But this is what you use on the small stuff. I know it's not, can't hardly see it in here, but it's just a little power pole tool that you're actually pushing on the connector rather than pushing with the wire.
The wire.
That is a fantastic tool to have.
Yes, it is. Also, you can.
I've got one of those. Yeah.
You can even take them off that way too with that thing.
Yep. Anyway, I think we've all done that, and let's see. I got a few things we talked about. David, when you're looking at my mobile at the death race, right? We talked about the rig runner. There's a 4005 right there that sits in the back. So these are effectively power strips that are for 12 volts. You put DC in here, and then you have all fused connections for your different stuff. So different radios. There's different versions. This is a West Mountain rig runner. West Mountain makes some good stuff. It's a little pricey though. Here's the MFJ version, which has, are these banana plugs? Is that what those are?
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's the DC in, and then it provides power poles out. So MFJ has a billion different models that do power poles. You see there's an MFJ power supply that actually has power poles directly on it. And actually I've got, where's this thing at? Oh, come here. So this is the power supply Renee uses at 6 gap every year, and see, it's just got power poles on it. Oh, I got to point the right spot. That's the button. That's a switch. That's the power pole. So everything is power pole. See the picture of that little USB device. I actually got it right here. Look at that. I actually got one. This is one of those, I ordered something from HRO and you pay shipping if it's under $100, but you add a $10 thing to it and you get, say, $15 for shipping. So this goes from 12-volt power pole to USB to charge your phone while you're out in the field. So that's a good thing to have. It's bottom right, that's a Helicraft KX3 little adapter that turns your normal barrel connector for power into a power pole as well. Is that what you have on your stuff, Paul? Or is yours native power pole? You're muted again. Can't hear you, Paul.
I have the cable that came with it that plugs in because it uses like a 3.5 inch.
Where did his go?
It uses like a 12-volt round connector.
Uh-huh.
But I have power poles on the end of the cable.
Oh, okay. Yeah, so you kind of do like I do, is there's a pigtail off to the connector, right? And then you just put a power pole on it.
Yeah.
So,
I got the end of it.
gotcha. Yeah, it's hard to see.
Yeah, it's a small. Yeah, it's a small.
Yeah.
They had a background.
It's a little jumper to make a power pole. That's good enough.
Well, this is the cable that came with it. I just put a power pole connector on the end.
Oh, I got you. I understand. That's cool. I've got all sorts of stuff here. Let me see if I can actually do this. No, where am I? Stand by. See what that looks like. Oh, can you see anything there? Is it way too dark? It's way too dark, isn't it?
Another thing I
Some
made with mine was some Y connectors, where you can double them up. But they're a little tricky trying to get all the wires into one power pole. You got to put 2 wires into each power pole.
Yeah. So I think 216 or 218 gauge wires is the same width as a 10 gauge. So if you took, 2 of those and basically twist them together and shove them into a 45 amp connector,
Yeah.
it should work fine. I actually did that for some projects I had a few years ago, and it worked pretty all right. Worked fine. There's all sorts of power pole stuff you can have. Like, I don't know, this battery, I put a power pole on it, right? This is a LiPo battery. You guys have seen that one. This one actually came with it. Came with power pole. So it's worth having power pole capabilities and making sure you're compatible, because if we need to go to your house where I'll bring our rigs, we need to have power. So we all need to be able to plug in with no questions asked here. So
Yeah, just get the polarity right.
yes, do. Get the crimpers if you can. Crimpers make it a lot easier. You can do it with your needle nose, I guess, but the crimpers make it infinitely easier and more efficient and effective.
Make sure the right color is on the right side.
So do you know what I learned today? We use the wrong colors. Black and red is not the proper color. Black and red is for 48 volt.
Okay, well, let's go back and change them all.
I know, right? I think we're supposed to be using yellow connectors, positive for.
I never heard that.
Okay, yeah, I basically looked at the Wikipedia article on power poles, and it had all these standards and stuff like that. Now, of course, it had the 12 volt was, whatever color it was, and there's a little note right beside it that says, everyone, I'll paraphrase, everyone at ham radio uses the red and black.
Yeah.
So it's kind of an exception, I guess.
Black on negative, so.
All right. So who doesn't have power poles? I think everyone does, right? Kind of a
It's so much easier.
God, it's so much easier. Especially if you're like, oh, my cable's not long enough. Well, just plug another cable in. Makes it longer. You know. And my truck is nothing but power poles. I've got lines coming directly from the battery to the back of the truck, and it goes into a rig runner, and then my radios are off from there. So I mean, it's what you should be using on everything. So, anyway, I'm finally comfortable enough for crimping them that I will actually cut the line cables off of a radio instead of cutting the pigtail. Right. So anyway.
I keep the pigtail.
All right. Anything else there? I think we're preaching to the choir here at this point. This is, like I was saying at the beginning, we're kind of shifting the focus to deploying instead of digital, since we're a little more comfortable with digital now. So this is a first step. If you need to make changes to deploy properly, this is the first thing you need to do is put power poles and everything.
Hey, guys, I got to go to the other meeting, which has been going on for a while.
Oh yeah, I was say you're 25 minutes late, aren't you, Russ?
Yeah, but it kept saying the host had another meeting, so I was waiting for it.
Oh, okay.
All right,
Finally
man.
popped up. All
Appreciate
right,
it.
thanks, Russ. We'll see you,
See ya.
man.
See you, Russ.
Russ, aye.
Night.
All right, so moving on here. So do we have anything else on the floor? I'll just go ahead and close it. And we've been going for a while now, so let's just close it up here. Anybody want to bring anything else up?
Is there any movement on the ID cards?
Like the purple card? I don't know myself. Let me talk to my boss at ARES about that. She's upstairs. See
Well,
what-
if there is, would you just send out an email?
yeah, sure. Sure, I'll get an update sometime and send it to everybody.
I
What is that?
I have one of those purple badges. Is it still good?
Yeah, it should be good. The issue is we didn't have a printer to print them, and we didn't have someone to actually manage those. So I think that's cleared up. We talked about that during the death race a little bit, didn't we?
Yeah, we did, but I never got, everybody kept looking at everybody else and nobody gave me a definitive answer except that Renee told me to send the stuff to you.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
So
I wasn't too sure about that, so I didn't.
yeah, I mean, that's the normal thing. You're supposed to send your certificate for 100, 200, 700, 800, your EC001, a background check, and a photo. You're supposed to send that to me, and I'm supposed to send it on to whomever. I have no idea who to send it to, though, but I can find out.
Are we talking passport photo,
Yeah, passport photo.
like 2x3 or whatever?
It's not important, just something
Okay.
that can be chopped down to something small. I literally, for mine, I took my phone, I stood against the wall, and went like this, and it was fine. So yeah, if you just want to send that out, just email me all that stuff. If you have it already, Smiley, then I'll have it when I figure out what to do with it. And yours will be the first one to go. So, all right. Anything else from anybody? All right. Here's, like, you guys don't have this. If you hate what I'm doing, please call Renee and have her fire me, please.
Are these on PowerPoint, your stuff?
I can get you a PDF. I'll post them to the group page.
Okay, that'd be good.
Yeah, I'd like to have a copy of the PowerPoint too on this one.
Okay.
Yeah, whatever.
So
My notes are kind of cryptic and I can go back and look at your stuff and.
that's fine. I'll upload them, and when I do, there's a little checkbox that says notify everyone that you uploaded a file. I'll make sure I check that so everyone gets a message that says Aaron uploaded the document you care about. So I'll also download the video, the recording of this, and put it on the YouTube channel when I can, sometime this week or next week. Right? Anything else,
Right.
then? Nothing going once, going twice. All right.
Thank
Night.
you, Aaron.
Thanks.
Thank you,
See
buddy.
you later, everybody.
Soon.
73.
7-3.